Hello and welcome. Thanks for tuning in to our U-Level UVision segment. Before we get started, I really want to take a couple of minutes here and just kind of take some steps back and talk about our industry as a whole. You know, I think this is an important time in our industry where there's so much technology, there's so many cool tools, so many things that are out there to help you, the contractor, on your job sites, both on the efficiency side, design, and just on the sales part of it. You know, if we look back to the early 70s, when we first introduced the paving stone to North America, you know, there wasn't a lot of this technology available. There was a lot of basic installation methods, good at the time, but as we progressed as an industry, things kept improving over the you know, the last almost 50 years. And in doing so, you know, I think a big part of that was within the last 10 years, we've seen a big boom in our trade. You know, I think there's a lot more I guess, professional side of things. There's a lot more tech coming into our industry. And as an industry as a whole, I think we've been a little bit slow in adapting to some of that technology. I know I can speak for myself. You know, I've kind of made it a goal to start doing some more of that stuff. Instagram, you know, is one of those things that I think is a necessary evil nowadays. I think a lot of you guys out there, we see you doing your work. It's awesome to see. So again, kind of a nice balance there. But again, kind of going back to that, a lot of the tools that you're seeing are here to give you both some really nice help on the efficiency side of a job site, also on the efficiency side of when you're designing. You know, to be able to show a homeowner a 3D rendering of what you're actually going to build before you even have your first shovel of dirt dug out is amazing. And I think that's what UVision does in the industry.
Well, an amazing transformation over the years. Years ago, we would be trekking across the country with tripods and really heavy equipment. This thing now literally is a couple of pounds. The equipment itself, light as a feather. You just move it around the site. But the biggest breakthrough in this industry is for contractors. They have a fear of that word terrain, contouring, levels, grades, whatever the word is they want to pick. The U-Level does it for you. And once the U-Level does it for you and is exported, and I'm going to show you that on the computer, how simple it is. Math does not come into it. It's more technology and follow the steps. So this is a big breakthrough. Combined with UVision, it will help you calculate your pricing and present to a client to a level probably never seen before in the industry.
So before we get started, a quick thing, both the Apple App Store and the Google Android Play Store have versions of the app. So you can go to either platform, download the app, and that'll get you to what you're gonna see next. The first thing you'll notice is the app itself, even if you guys have it, looks a lot different. This version that you're seeing on screen now is actually days old. So a couple of things you'll notice right off the bat that's different. The formatting of the app home screen is a little bit different. You'll see new buttons there as well. The first one that you'll see is right in the middle there. We don't have to go back and search and look for that layered Bluetooth device. When you're syncing your U-Level with your app, it'll automatically sync. So now we don't have to push any buttons to sync them. As soon as you turn on the Bluetooth device capability on the U-Level, your phone itself will find it and it would automatically connect. Next thing you'll notice is the compass is actually a working compass now. In the previous version, it was static. You know, and we kind of were working on that to get it active. And the reason that's an important feature now is because it will help orientate the UVision with the U-Level measurements you take. So that's an important feature now for UVision and U-Level to talk to each other. We need to know where those measurements and what direction those were taken. So now that is a working active compass. The next thing you'll notice is we have 3 little dots on the top corner of the screen, and that is basically your new options menu. So when you tap those 3 buttons on the corner of the screen, you're gonna get this little kind of screen that pops open halfway through. And really, not a lot of new stuff here, but there's a couple of things I wanna go into detail, and one of them is the Bluetooth scanner. For whatever reason, if you guys are having issues, go ahead and tap that blue verbiage there, and that'll open up so that you can see all the devices that are Bluetooth. Maybe something's interfering, and you can actually manually select it. So that's still there as an option, but again, automatically it should connect. Below that, you'll see firmware update. This is an important feature. Just like any app, We try to, again, to improve technical side of it, new features, new upgrades. And so this is how you do that. You'll get a little pop-up on your app that will tell you, but you can also manually check here, you know, a couple of weeks out of the year to see if you're missing out on one of the updates, because we are continually updating that app. Now, kind of getting to the meat and potatoes here. The first option that you'll see is that 𝐦𝐨𝐬 email. If you are a designer or a contractor that likes to take pictures as you're taking your measurements, and you have, you know, 10, 15, 20 pictures, you know, some of these new phones they're massive files, and they will eat up a lot of data, take a lot of time to email to yourself. What you do here is toggle it on like I just showed, and what that does is it takes all those data files, so pictures, Excel files, it compresses them together, makes them a lot smaller, and now you shouldn't have any issue with sending emails with all the attachments. Next is something that's kind of cool. So let's say you're by yourself taking spot elevations or measurements, and you only have, you know, both your hands are full. You can actually toggle that Speak Measurements tab on, like you see there on the screen, and the actual app using your microphone will tell you, and you can audibly hear the measurement. So it'll basically tell you what you're measuring and what that measurement is, so you can hear it in case you can't look down or what have you if your hand's full. Next is something that we've gotten a lot of requests for, so it is live, it is useful now, and it's basically the Engineering Units tab. What this is basically setting a benchmark. You know, I see this on a lot of commercial job sites where you have maybe a commercial spec that has a lot of walls, or you have fixed heights that you need to import first, and then based off of that benchmark, you're going to go plus or minus based on your reading. So that's kind of what this does. And what you'll see is instead of one single data entry point, you'll see three, right? So you have your benchmark set at, let's say, 3 feet of elevation, and then plus or minus based on what you're going to get from your U-Level. You're going to +1 and -1 based on what you said. Next, I'm going to go into the percent of slope. Again, a very cool feature that is live now. And what this is basically, let's say you're on a job site and you're back of the patio door, and you're going out a certain way, and you want to check what your slope is, what your percentage of slope is on that run. You can very easily tap right where it says slope, percent of slope, and once you tap that, you'll get a new screen, and basically all you need are 2 points, right? I'm going to go and tap my first measurement point, walk my distance. I'll show you a little bit how the app is going to know the distance, and then your U-Level will give you the height, and then there's a calculation that happens, and it will give you whatever that percent of slope is, just like you see on that screen. So again, some very cool features that are going to be useful on your job sites. Next, we're going to talk about that instructional video, and what you're going to get is a plethora of information, just like you see on the screen there. You're going to get links to go see videos. You're going to get verbiage where you can have actual printed items that you can read out and print out, and then keeping your U-Level case if that's easier for you. So again, something that we wanted to have accessible right in the app, and that's what that is. And then lastly is this image mapping. Again, days old, just rolled out. And this is going to be for those avid contractors that already have some of those overhead drone shots that they're taking of their job sites. What this will allow you to do is basically, once you take your drone shots, and let's say you're not privy, or you know, it's not easy to work with the Google Earth imaging on the software, because that is a little bit more of an advanced feature. This is a really easy, you know, no-frills way of doing kind of the same thing. So basically, you would take those pictures, input them onto your phone, save them on your phone as a JPEG or what have you, and then all you're simply going to do is tap that button, and then you'll see you got the crosshairs on your screen, and you're just going to move your picture to orientate to where that crosshairs is, and then basically you can go ahead and plot all your heights on that actual image. So now this is the big thing that everyone's been waiting for, and that is having the U-Level take distant measurements. And so basically what you would do is tap that corner measurement ruler, and you're going to get a new screen here. And what you'll see is, once you tap that and you're looking at your ground or whatever you're going to measure, you'll see a bunch of yellow dots. All those dots are doing is reading the ground for you, and it's going to orientate the actual app to know what it's going to read and what it's going to measure. And so that'll last about 5 to 10 seconds. They'll disappear. That lets you know that you're ready to go, ready to measure. So again, hold your phone down, wait about 5 to 10 seconds so they disappear, and then you're ready to roll. And really what you see is on the bottom of the screen in the middle there, you'll see a ruler on one side and then a ruler with a little dialog box on the other side. The first one and the second one basically do the same thing. The measurement mark with the little dialog box is for you to put notes in. If you don't have any notes, you probably won't ever use it. You just hit that one on the right-hand side. But if you are very meticulous, you want to mark where everything is, you can put little notes as you're taking your measurements, a quick little handy tool. At the top of the screen, the other thing that goes along with those meticulous notes is you can take images of what you're measuring, right? So let's say there's specific areas on the property that you want to orientate, or you want your foreman to know, hey, you know, I started in this part of the job site. Go ahead and you can take a measurement. If you tap that little camera button, it will take an automatic screenshot of what the phone is looking at and save it into that file. Again, one of the quick little, I guess, hints or cheats that will keep you guys honest is whenever you take a height measurement with the U-Level, it will always be green. So if you see a number on your screen and it's green, it will always be a height measurement, okay? And that's what you're seeing on your screen right now. You press that ruler button once, it sets a point, and then it also starts your distance measuring, right? You will walk your distance, call it 5, 10, 20, 30 feet, whatever that distance is, to your next point. You will tap that button again, and then now you'll see on your screen, you have 2 points and a line between, and in the middle of that line is a red measurement. That red measurement will always be distance. So green is height, red is distance. Now, the one thing I will suggest, and Paddy maybe will talk about this a little bit more, is the first thing you want to do when you're measuring is basically do your perimeter measurements, right? And so that's kind of what you see on your screen. I've taken my perimeter of my property and taken that measurement so I can basically isolate my job site, right? When I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and tap that little button on the left side of that corner. Looks like a little sideways alien, and that's a close perimeter button. So I'm done measuring my perimeter. I'm going to tap that button, and that lets the U-Level know and UVision know that that is my set perimeter. Now, if I want to go and measure my elevations within that perimeter, so let's say I walked my job site, and now I'm going to do measuring for a wall or what have you, a raised patio, I can now do spot elevations within that perimeter by tapping the button on the other side, which is your spot elevation button. It looks like a square with the 2 arrows. You tap that one time, and then again, that'll let UVision know, and that'll let the U-Level know that every measurement going forward is a spot elevation. And so what you'll see is every time you tap that ruler button again, you'll see all green measurements. And if you remember from the beginning of that, that basically is just telling the U-Level and UVision that all I'm doing is measuring heights. There is no distance because it's just spot elevations. And if I zoom in here, you'll see that every single one of those inside of my perimeter are green as an elevation measurement. So lastly, to close this whole segment out is, let's say you're finished doing all your perimeter measurement, all your spot elevations, you're done measuring on your job site. Now you can preview what you just did. You basically just hit that middle button, looks like a little mountainside. If you tap that, that will basically close that file, and that will give you a preview just like you see on your screen. Now the cool part here is that you can kind of see at the top, there's all my perimeter measurements, and then my P5 through P12, I think that is all my spot elevations inside of that. So automatically will generate a preview. This gets saved into that data export, and again, Paddy will show you how to kind of take that into your UVision and a lot of the headaches that people have with elevations. Not completely gone, but almost. And at the bottom of the screen, what you'll see is 2 sets of data points. The first one there is your X, your Y, and your Z. And that really is my distance and my height. So those are the important features to keep a note of when you're inputting your data. The bottom are just giving you my lengths, just kind of some additional data. So again, the important part are your X, Y, Z files. You'll see those as 2 separate imports as Excel files. Another quick little important update, I guess, that's a little bit new and an ask from you guys in the field is to be able to label and have separate files for each job. So again, we're able to do that now. So when you go to save the information, it will give you an option to type in a folder name. So you can do a job site name or what have you, and I'll kind of show what that looks like in the next couple of slides here. And so once you do that, you can kind of see at the bottom, it gives you the option to put a job site name and then a folder name for that as well. You do that information, type that in, hit save, and now that data, you can kind of see there, Carlson residence saved folder. Now if I need to access that information for any reason after the fact, I can go right into that folder, type in that Carlson name, and then all my data comes right back up. So again, a very new feature, but very powerful. Lastly, what you'll see is when you import that data, it will import as a CSV file. So again, here you see all those data points, my X, my Y, and my Z. You see all those data points as numbers. They're going to get imported in, and now UVision will take this information and make it a very dynamic, powerful item for you guys to use on your UVision drawings. With that, I'm going to welcome Paddy back on with me and really have him go into the nuts and bolts of how to make these two talk and how to really get a dynamic view with those two items together. So Paddy?
What I'm going to do is show you basically what we're going to do with this data. Like any good cooking show, I have some ingredients already baked in the oven, so we will go to that as we need. But I will show you basically what you're going to be seeing as just a general example or a finished product. With the data that comes in, I'll put it in perspective, and you can see that I'm taking drone shots. There's my drone shot, and I put cones down so my drone can recognize my bearings. I have a cone at the door, midway, corner, out into the swale. And when I take it back into my cell phone, I actually edit this so it makes it clear where my cones were set for the readings. And then we jump into here, and this is where I'm going to build my patio or requested design from clients. These lines that you see here are basically the data that was imported, and we'll do all this slowly, but this is exactly what Auggie was talking about. This is the import. It looks like spaghetti. Don't worry, it won't. So I'm going to just shoot this down, and we're going to go and build this file. So I'm going to open up the program, and bear with me, there'll be a couple of lag moments, I'm sure. Starting a new design, and as Auggie did mention to you, the data will be exported as an Excel variant, and file, import, and then go down to the terrain section, the big word that scares everybody, terrain. Fear no more, it's over. Get your TM to get a hold of me and we can talk. I'm importing, just following the guidelines. Next, I have to go and find the file in question because there could be 10, 20 on your desktop. I'm going to go to the UTech facility, click on that, open it up, and here is the data. And in raw data, you can go to any one of these points here, these station markers, as in the CSV file, and click on any point and delete it if you don't think it's necessary to the progression. So you can edit these inserts, but it's telling me we have 11 points to insert. Hit next. Now, something interesting here, slice distance. What this actually means is the computer is asking us, how technical do you want these elevations? And I can say 3 inches, meaning tell me every time you denote a 3-inch change in my plan presentation. I can make it 1 inch. That means it's more finely tuned, but that gives you a lot more lines and a lot more spaghetti. Keep it simple. Try different lengths. You can go 12 inches, whatever works for you. Hit next, finish, imported, and there you have it. That is the data that just came in on the screen. Now, I'm going to show you something that really makes a change to all of this. If I go into perspective, you will see the grid line. For those familiar with UVision, you will see the grid line evident. That's our base point. And then you can start to see a hill forming here and a slope. So there's absolutely no math involved. It's been tabulated for you. But let's go back into plan and let's look at this. What I tend to do, because it is spaghetti with a couple of lines on here, I go into my building tab and I create a column. If I hold down the shift button, I'm going to place a column over every point, just so I can get my bearings. So I would repeat this step all the way around. And it just gives me some bearing to try and get. Don't need that one. But that's basically now me looking at all the data points and go back to plan. That's it there in perspective. I can start to see where I'm working. Now, even better, I'm going to import what my drone gave to me as a picture. Go to it, hit next, bring it in as an overlay. Anytime you bring in a survey or a platter survey, you must bring it in as an overlay. So hit next, and then go and find the picture in question. And I will have it UTech on my desktop, bring it in. You can see now there are all the orange cones that I put in the ground. I edited the picture with these circles, again on my iPhone, no fancy software, just so I can get a bearing. And if I can move this across, you're seeing this shape here, exactly as I'm seeing it on the screen here. Hit next, finish. Now there's the picture. Now what I'm going to do is line this picture up with these red denotation circles to the relevant points. And because I know what I'm doing, I think, I'm just going to line this up. So I'm going to try and pick these points out, and I can go to the transparency button on the right and just soften it a bit so I can see the red circles and try and get them not too busily over the actual cones that were in the ground. And then what I'm doing here now is I'm moving the circles up, you can see, and I might have to increase the sizing that I'm going at. And I'm going to go very quickly at it, and it's just editing. No math has ever left my mouth. And you can see now that I have lined up the cones. And what does this show us? In perspective, now look at this. Where we had to physically go in and use contours in the terrain button of past, where people were scared of these words, height map, area grader, contour line. Contours is fantastic. The whole software is fantastic. But if you fear it, now the drone and the U-Level have given it all to you. You don't have to touch any of these buttons. And that's what I like about it. So, go back into plan. Now, I mentioned I had some stuff already in the oven. Let's go and select. There's the patio, and this is a really great feature. Master the UVision itself, but go to the Edit Patio. You'll see the word on the top. Come across to Shape Options and copy shape. go back to your design that you're working on, which is here. Go back to the screen, Building tab, Patio, Shape Options, Page Shape. And there is the patio that I was working on before we met up today. And this is what the client wanted, a patio with a seating area. And let's look at this in perspective. Now, interestingly enough, because we are now dealing with elevations and contours, because I have this patio set at 0, follow the mouse over to here, you will see elevation of the patio is 0. And that's where it all starts. But it's telling me, as a contractor, if we are at 0 here, look at all of this earth that has to come out of the way prior to getting the patio in. Not only does that have to be excavated, you also have to excavate for your base. So the great thing about this software is, in plan and days of old, when I came here to the country 40 years ago, everything was in 2D. This program actually shows you, and it shows the client, what is needed to pull off the request. So what I have to do is go into perspective again, and I am going to go to my magic button there, Shape Options, Copy Shape. I now will go to Terrain, select the area grader, go to Shape Options, Page Shape. Now you will notice a big wart just came on the screen. Fear not, it always comes in at 6 feet on the area grader. So what we're going to do is bring it down, and there it is at 0. And I want you to notice something. If I zoom in here, you can still see the effect. This patio sitting here, now it's all exposed as it should be. You can still see I have sloping. I go to my height taper button, and this is just practicing with me when you get to classes. You will see, in order for this patio to sit here, I have elevations here, here, all these dark areas here mean that they have to be addressed in the construction of the patio. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to Shape Options again, Copy Shape, go to Building, Retaining Wall, Shape Options, Page Shape. And there is a retaining wall now that sits here. Now obviously we don't need a retaining wall used as a swimming pool, so I edit the heights of these accordingly. I don't need retaining walls here, but I do need retaining wall at these points to stop the dirt, stop the dirt falling onto the patio. So I can go to a very neat button just to show this physically and visually very quickly. I can go to this word here, Edit Points, and if you do Auto Wall Height, it will show exactly what I'm talking about. Everything is at 0 accordingly here, and you can see in the background the heights that have to be addressed in order to stop dirt and water entering onto the patio, which is a critical point. And clients like intelligent contractors, believe me, it's not about price, it's about intelligence and deliverance. So now I've got it on auto wall height. I can actually go to stepped and adjust every point that I think should be at ground level. And that gives me a totally different thing. So stepped, and if I click on this button here, hold down the shift button, and I'll just show you basically move the height of the wall down to 0. You can see I'm opening up, and I go to all these relevant points, and I will knock them down to 0. And again, the hard work in this is just the time you spent in UVision, but I can knock out a design within 20-30 minutes, way quicker than ever with a pencil. Walk through, and especially now in today's market with the COVID, people are very much expectant of a intelligent conversation on the computer screen, and this is it. And believe me, if a 65-year-old Irishman can do this, you can all do it. And if you have any questions, get a hold of your territorial manager. You can ask for Auggie or Paddy. They have our numbers locked in, and that's it. And it's a great way to sell, and it's tabulated, calculated, square footage, everything. Bear in mind, if you don't master this now, somebody else has, and you are missing a huge opportunity to stay in the game in this beautiful market. Thank you.